Hey, another Monday. Here we are. Addiction recovery, hope, and resources. We were already introduced by the station. We got we're technology, we're legit. We got Jerry Campbell here. Take two. He was nice enough to come in and because we didn't get finished last week. He had so much good stuff to say that we're gonna take it into another week. Hi, Jerry.
Hi. How are you?
I want to throw you off a little bit. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Hey, I wanted to throw you off a little bit. You see the color of my shirt today?
It's blue.
I didn't have a light blue shirt, but I saw a post that you put on your thing about autism and Cass. And so I went today at the Buckle and bought me a $25 t-shirt that I don't usually do. But I wanted to respect autism. It's a month. Tell me a little bit about this month.
Well, now you're going to make me cry. It actually starts, the whole month of April is Autism Awareness. And it really kicks off tomorrow because today's April Fool's.
Oh, okay.
But it really, they consider it the whole month, but it's just to get the word out that there are individuals that you may see in the grocery store throwing a tantrum on the floor that may have autism, and just to be mindful, you know. We hear so often, like, just pick your kids up or spank them or get them out of the, It's just to be aware that there are individuals out there that may have learning disabilities and social inadequacies.
Yeah, and that's your son.
That is my son.
And we have someone that's real close to us too. So, but I wanted to show you support, so I went and bought it.
That's so cool. Thank you.
So, okay, addiction recovery. How did you think about it? What we're going to talk about today?
Well, I didn't. It felt like last week it was all war story. I didn't really get to when I got into recovery.
Yeah. Well, let's get into recovery then.
Okay. So I don't know if we remember, but
of course we don't. It was a week ago.
My dad got me into recovery. I had a suicide attempt.
And he spent how many days in your room with you?
It was a Friday to Monday.
Yeah.
And then got me into recovery that Monday. So over the weekend, he stayed in the room with me.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I found recovery. I really didn't know what path of recovery it was. But he took me to this building where there's like-minded individuals that are struggling to get clean, and we help and we support each other, and we share about our struggles and our joys. And I'm just as fearful of success as I am failure.
I'm the same,
so
man. Almost my worst enemy at times, you know, fearing success.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So it's good to hear, like, when fellow addicts share about both sides of the coin, because I can relate to it.
There's strength in numbers. I tell you what, I've never even knew what that meant until I went in the rooms.
Yeah. So that Monday, well, when I found recovery, I was pretty empty. I felt like really, really empty. And it was just like in 2003 when I found recovery and I heard that guy sharing up at the podium. Yeah. I had the same type of feelings when I found recovery 8 years ago. I saw a group of people that were there every day at noon, and they were sharing about, like, getting divorces. They were sharing about DCFS and losing their kids, buying a home, losing a home. And the really cool thing, people were talking about getting driver's licenses.
Yeah,
that
right.
may sound really, the things that we, like, celebrate are so cool. I totally relate to that. Like getting my driver's license back.
Yeah, it's huge. And then it goes to getting insurance, and then you get your own car, and it's not a very good car, but it's a car, and you're so happy.
Yeah. I tell the guys that may call me for support, I always tell them, like, the coolest thing we can do is like pay our property tax and get the proper sticker on your license plate.
Right.
And have your not expired license driver's license. And
Not
when you
having to
get-
look in the rearview mirror every
Exactly.
second.
Yep, that's it. Like getting pulled over and not freaking out.
Yeah.
It's so freeing.
Yeah, it sure is.
But I'm the type of addict that always rebelled against the system. I would do those things on purpose, you know, like screw the man.
Yep.
I'm not paying this bill. No.
And
Watch
really,
this.
it only hurts us. It's crazy how our addict brains work.
Yeah. So I would listen to these group of people the first 3 or 4 months that were coming every day at noon. And again, I thought it was amazing that people could talk openly about stuff like that. But I'm finding out that recovery is about intimacy and addiction is about separation. It wants me by myself, locked in a closet, not participating in life and taking care of myself at all. So I would listen to these people and I wanted what they had. And it was just simply living and feeling. I was just an empty
Smiling
shell.
and giggling at something that was actually funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were laughing, crying,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it. But I would put my head down on the table and I would listen to them. And I knew I needed help too. I knew I needed to find like another individual to help me. But one of the reasons why I put my head down on the table is I was really shamed. A lot of shame and guilt. Like I felt like if you looked at me in the eye, you would know exactly what was inside.
Right.
That guilt and that shame. But also I put
It weighs a lot.
What?
It weighs a lot.
Yeah.
Thousands of pounds on your shoulders.
But then it was my friend. It was like Linus's blanket. You know,
Yeah.
I knew no other way.
Right.
But I also put my head down so I could listen. And I didn't want to be distracted by whispering or someone on their phone or not that that's wrong or anything. I wanted to hear something that would touch me.
Right.
So I did that the first 3 or 4 months and I found some help but I didn't know really how to recover. So I was still acting out in inappropriate behavior. And it was usually with girls or gossip. Like I would sit at the picnic table and gossip about people. If there was no chaos, I created it.
Yeah.
So things didn't change really until I committed to this way of life. And as soon as I did that, then all that creating and manipulating of unmanageability and chaos stopped. And I was jobless. And my teacher was teaching me about a spiritual principle called hindsight. And a lot of these concepts and things in recovery, I don't really understand maybe until someone points it out and then like, oh.
Right.
So I come out of the building one day and I told a buddy that I needed a job. And at that point I needed any job. I was willing to go to McDonald's, flip burgers, whatever it was. I wanted to work.
Yeah, I worked at a gas station.
Yep.
First one. And I loved it.
Most of my life I've been in retail, either slinging shoes or luggage. I did that for 20 years in sales, really, retail sales. Anyway, my buddy directed me towards a company that supported individuals with mental illness. And like I said, I needed a job and I was willing to do it and I did this. And at this time I found my wife today.
Shannon.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Went out with her for a while, but I was still kind of promiscuous. So I was whatever.
Behaviors.
Yeah. And I got her pregnant with Cass. And I ended up breaking up with her while she was pregnant. But the cool thing is, man, is like that made me or motivated me to continue to work even harder on myself. And I think I can't speak for her, but I think that did it for her too. So we found ourselves being apart. So I start working at this job and I got promoted, and then one day I'm going into the hindsight thing. At least I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
My boss approached me and he's like, "Are you interested in giving ABA therapy to children with autism? I said, yeah. Now, keep in mind, Cass is still in the womb.
Right.
And so I spent half my time giving therapy to a little boy, like 6 years old, with autism for 6 months. And then like a year later, Cass gets diagnosed with autism. He comes into the world and then he gets diagnosed with autism. So things are like my teacher's pointing these things out. He likes to say there's something loving going on all around us.
And there's no coincidences.
Yeah. So I'm starting to like connect the dots. And then junior high school, back in my old neighborhood where I grew up, there were 2 individuals that were disabled, mentally disabled, and I used to bully them. So now things are really starting to click. Shannon and I went up north to go to, I'm going to just say a convention, a recovery convention. And on the way up, I took her to my old neighborhood where I grew up. And I noticed that there was this yellow Ford pickup in this driveway that was there when I was growing up. So I kept it in my mind, and then we went on to where we needed to go. But on the way back, I asked her on the way back, I'm like, do we have an extra 20 minutes? She's like, yeah. So I go to this house with the yellow Ford pickup, and his name's Dave. And Dave came to the door, and I gave him a hug, owned up to what I did. And it was the most beautiful experience ever. So, and at the same time, my teacher's talking to me in my other ear. So I'm starting to like, he calls it there's something loving going on around us. I like to say that there's a tapestry being woven around us. And so we come back, and then a month or 2 later, we take Cass into the pediatrician. He was sick, and the doctor walked in and took one look and said he has autism. You might want to get him tested. And he had autism. That was probably, I left that appointment. First time in my recovery, I wanted to get loaded. I always have thoughts, and they come and they go real as fast as they came in. But this day I was driving home and I wanted to get loaded. Recovery for me is practice. I'm an individual that does not like to be told what to do. Principal, teacher, sister, parents.
Right.
Don't tell me what to do. And don't tell me not to get into something, because I'm going to find out why.
Yeah, no matter what you say, I'm going to take the test myself.
So, but because I've been practicing recovery, I was able to pick up the phone and call somebody. And they were able to talk me down, and so I didn't get loaded. It's a struggle, I think, in the individuals that I hang out with to like use the phone. And I know it was for me.
Pride, maybe?
I don't know. I know some of them, and like me too, it's easier for me to talk in person than on the phone. Whatever. It's kind of weird, but.
No, it's not, because my wife calls me all the time, and I'm like, is there a point to your phone call, honey? She wants to smack me every time. I'm the same.
So I don't know, it just dawned on me. It's like, how did I get here and why? You know, and I start looking back in hindsight, and I'm thinking about my buddy who asked me to go work for him, supporting individuals with mental illness. Then it dawns on me that I was able to make an amends to 2 individuals I grew up with who had a mental disability. And then I'm like, why did my boss ask me to do ABA? You know, I have nothing, I don't know anything about autism. And here I am with a son who's diagnosed with autism. It's just incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
The messages can come anywhere
when you're looking.
Yeah.
If you're not looking, you miss them.
I can get them like off a billboard, just driving down the road, or somebody says something on the radio.
The more you practice it, the more in tune you are to it.
Yeah. So I think all these little aha moments, maybe, you know, I think the message in my recovery is the spiritual awakening. I think that's the message.
I think that's the message.
Yeah.
No matter what way it is on for each individual, it's the message.
Now, I don't know if you would have, like that first day I walked in to recovery, if you would have said, "Hey, Jerry, your spirit's going to awaken," I would have went, "What?"
Yeah.
The whole orange robe and tambourines and beanies on my head image would have came back, you know, like, what is this? But I get it today. You know, it's, I've been almost 9 years clean now, and I can't.
This is the clapping noise.
I can't believe it. I can't believe where my life is. I'm paying my rent.
Yeah, right.
On time every month. I'm making my truck payment. All these things are just foreign. You know, and as all my teacher said to do is just show up.
Show up.
That's it.
Put one foot in front of the other. Do the next right thing.
Yeah. I have to pinch myself. I was really scared when Cass got diagnosed because I work with it every single day. I see the worst case scenario. I see individuals that are low functioning, and that's why I have a job, because they need support. So when he got diagnosed, that's where my head went. Like, and I'm old. I was 46 when he was born, and now I'm 52. So I had visions of David Letterman in my head too, you know, when he had his baby.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be 75 when he walks across the stage. So I'm like, I'm going to be too old to like protect him. And then the bullying thing came into my mind, because I was that, you know, I was these things.
Yeah. Maybe it was because that the powers that be knew that you needed to be older to be patient enough and loving enough. Probably.
I got a good lesson that day when he was diagnosed. I had a good friend. Actually, his godmother came over, and because I called her, I was just bawling, like streaming tears.
Yeah.
And she drives over from Ivan's and hands me a $20 bill and says, "Just go to Fiesta Fun. Just get out of the house and go have fun." And back then, Cass, his sensory levels were so high. Like, if he got around a group of people, he would just take off.
Right.
And we knew that going to Fiesta Fun. So we just opened the doors and we let him go. And he was off, man. It's like a dog chasing.
That was where he could go and run.
Yeah. And what was really cool, you know those basketball games?
Yeah.
With the little balls,
Oh,
you
yeah.
shoot and they come back?
Yeah.
I put him up inside of it. And he, you know, he's doing his hand flapping thing, but he had the best time. And I walked away from there with the lesson of just live.
Yeah.
Just live. Because I'm like so in tune to like staying in the drama.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Or worrying about if other people are looking or whatever. It's just not about that.
Yeah. My teacher likes to say, like, when you have a thought and you attach to it, it becomes a story. You know, and then you get caught up in what your head's doing. It's going to become this big chaotic, traumatic storm.
Yeah. That's our brain.
Yeah. So that was the first lesson of just living. Just show up and live. And then I really am not a miracle believer. When I got into recovery, the concept in my mind was like a car flipped over and the mother may be picking it up a little to get a child out. That's what I considered a miracle. Like what we talked about earlier, getting a driver's license back to me is a miracle.
I think the addict that's one day sober is a flat out miracle.
Yeah, for sure. And just showing up to a meeting is a spiritual awakening.
Absolutely.
We can get like, what does that mean? Well, just show up.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're going to ask me to do something. Maybe, and you have 50 million thoughts and actually you can just show up and sit there. It's basically that easy.
Yeah.
And listen, like you said, stay out of the way and listen.
He's the greatest example in my life of what a miracle is. When Shannon and I started, because of our work, and our experience in our work, we knew immediately we needed to get him like therapy and as much of it as possible. With autism, the earliest intervention you can, the greater outcome you can have. And we knew that, so we did that. And he was nonverbal. And she's crying because she wants her whole dream was to hear him say mama.
Mama. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the first day he was up at the top of this slide and the therapist was rolling a ball up to him at the top and he would roll it down. But she would say, 1, 2, 3, go. And he said, go.
Oh.
So seeing him where he was and where he is today is a miracle.
Sure.
It's a freaking miracle.
That's so awesome.
He can talk full sentences. He can read. He can write. He's only 6. He was talking about computer code the other night. I remember the first time Shannon handed him our iPhone, like he could run it. It's just, it's amazing. So he has opened up my world like 1,000 times. Like I shared last week, like I came from a night with a knife in my hand, wanting out of this life.
Yeah.
And now my heart is just expanding, and I have to pinch myself. I cannot believe that I am here. And just the love that I have for just life, period.
Right. Yeah.
I want to experience and soak it all in. If I was wealthy enough, I could travel around and just see people and talk, just soak it where they live in and just experience it, I would.
That's awesome.
To me, that's like the greatest gift. Because at one night I wanted out, and now I want to just soak it all in.
Now you were hopeless, and now you're full of hope.
Yeah.
That's what the program does.
And now in the last 3 months, I'm literally have to pinch myself because I cannot believe where I'm at in my life. And it's not like grandiose. I don't have a Learjet and all this other stuff. Yeah. I have possibility.
I love it.
Possibility.
I'm the same way. I don't have a ton, but I have more than I ever could have dreamed of.
Well, yeah. The job that I have, like, I knew it was I'm not gonna get wealthy doing it, but it gave me a purpose. Yeah. You know, I'm helping other individuals who need help.
Which is the key to happiness.
And like when I saw the efforts of what I was doing actually change an individual, I'm like, this is it. And I don't care like if I'm poor.
I don't need
$1
million.
As long as the lights are on and I can pay my bills, I'm good. That's all I really need. Right. And that's a whole different change too, because most of my life I was comparing myself to Mr. Jones next door. You know,
sure.
I had to have the BMW and the Hugo Boss suit, and when am I going to be a district manager like you? And none of that matters. All of that's gravy.
And may come.
I still want a nice set of golf clubs.
Yeah,
but it's not the purpose.
I
anymore.
agree. We got 1 minute, 10 seconds.
Are
Jerry.
you serious?
Yeah, it goes by fast, bro. We get into talking. So finish up with where you want to finish.
The spiritual awakening. It's my new drug. So I'm finding myself chasing that too, but I got to breathe and just calm down and get out of my own way, and there it is.
I have to tell myself, capital letters, slow down.
Yeah.
A lot. Slow down.
Breathe.
Enjoy the moment. Breathe. Look around you.
My breath is the anchor to the moment. God is in the moment.
Right.
And recovery's given me this spiritual path that's probably the biggest gift.
Absolutely.
Jerry, there's a tapestry all around us, man.
I love it. That makes perfect sense to me. Well, I thank you for sharing your time with getting nothing in return but giving back. And I know there's someone out there that needed to hear your message. Thank you for listening, and we'll tune in. Please tune in next Monday.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.